Well, I did not see this coming today. What a shock. What a shock this is. I generally never thought I would see Pinterest and PayPal in the same headline. But here we are, a social media play and a payment company, and the news that PayPal are potentially looking at acquiring Pinterest. Pinterest is obviously a stock that I own, so that's one that I'm more interested in, even though I recognise PayPal is a fantastic company. And in fact, a long time ago, I used to own PayPal when I think it was around something like $70 or something. A really long time ago. So yeah, we're going to have a look at this today and what it means for Pinterest, what it means for PayPal. I'll be focusing on Pinterest a little bit more because obviously that is the one that I own and that's one that I'm a little bit more interested in. But yeah, absolute shock. I was getting ready to prepare the video for today. Had all my ideas down. It was going to be a video just to rattle them very good food company fanboys a little bit, but I'll have to hold off on that one. I was going to wind them up a bit more, but yeah, I thought I'd talk about this one. I had to kind of get everything together and get it all sorted for you guys. So it's been a quick turnaround to try and get this video up for you. But yeah, we're going to have a look at it. But what a kind of crazy year of like acquisitions. Like at the start of the year, some of you guys, well, didn't leave that open, trick or trade. Yeah, at the start of the year, obviously some of you guys might have been in this one and following the channel since the start of this year, which was GWPH was bought out. This was one company that I owned, GW Pharma, and yeah, these guys were bought out. We made a nice 100% on this one, and then the next one was around about, I think, March time, which was that potentially, it happened, EA bought Glue, so we had another stock bought out, which I think we made a good 40% on, which is really good. And then the third stock that I own that got acquired this year, which was GNOG, which was bought by DraftKings. So yeah, I mean, if we had 4 companies bought out in one year, that would be absolutely crazy. I guess it is the year of companies buying each other out with what's kind of gone on. But yeah, Pinterest, maybe we're getting bought by PayPal. It would be interesting to see what happens. Looking at the stock price of Pinterest took it very positively. As you can see, we had a 10% jump. I'll just refresh it here and see if we can get a updated one. Yeah, it's up actually 11%. There we go. So the stock price on Pinterest is taking it very positively. Obviously, there's a few people in here that are taking that little gamble, going, oh, you know what? I'll just kind of get in here and see if I can make a quick, easy bit of money if the buyout does happen. But getting on to PayPal, PayPal took it negatively. I mean, look at that. PayPal stock here, absolutely falling off a cliff down there. I'm trying to just refresh it for you guys just to see where we're at. It's down 5% now. You can see it was 3% when I last got all this together. 5%, nearly 6% down. So yeah, PayPal has taken it negatively. I guess the reason why, obviously, people are coming into Pinterest thinking, oh, quick, easy money if they get bought out. And people are looking at PayPal going, oh, when you get these kind of like massive buyouts, because if you look at it, they're at least going to pay like 40 billion for Pinterest. So that's a big buyout. And when PayPal's like a 300 billion, you start, when these big buyouts happen, they are always pretty much negatively taken because people start going, how are PayPal going to fund this? Are they going to do it in cash? Are they going to do it in stock? Is there going to be dilution? And that's what kind of spooks people that hold it when it's a massive acquisition like this. And obviously the big thing that people are looking at is, how do PayPal put a social media company into the PayPal company, I guess. And I guess the way that PayPal looked at this is thinking, we are obviously finance, and we have a lot of companies that use us for finance, but can we tie that into the companies now using social media, marketing through that Pinterest account and tying the companies together? I guess that's the way that PayPal would be looking to utilize Pinterest. Would be very interesting to see how they do it. But yeah, I guess that's the way they are looking at it at the moment. But Pinterest is a fantastic company. Obviously, I've been invested into Pinterest for a while now. If I go back here, I actually got into Pinterest 2 years ago now. So yeah, this is actually becoming quite a mature investment for me right now. And at the moment, as you can see, I'm up about 200% on my Pinterest shares. So if there was any buyout, I'd probably even make more than 200% on this company overall. Now, if you look at what the news actually came out, you'll see here, Pinterest stock jumped after PayPal said to explore acquisition, Bloomberg, and there's a bit of an updated version here. So yeah, PayPal have contacted Pinterest about a potential deal, and the negotiations are ongoing and may not result in a transaction. So that's a big thing to kind of realize, is that we are talking about PayPal and Pinterest and PayPal acquiring Pinterest, but generally there's so much further to go from about the company getting acquired. There's obviously there's some talks going on there, but to kind of get a deal would be, especially when it's such a big deal, like we're talking, 40 billion plus. There's going to be a lot of negotiations going on here. And as well with Pinterest, I'm sure there's the potential that people are looking at it and going, oh, Pinterest is up for sale. They're going to be buying them. Should we buy that? The likes of Facebook, for example. I'm sure there's a few companies that are staring at this and going, should we maybe hop into this? So yeah, I guess it has opened the potential negotiations, which, as you know, that could go either way. It's definitely not anywhere near to being complete, and also opens the door potentially for other people to come in anyway. So yeah, that's probably a big statement to make there. Two companies discussed a price of $70 per share, according to a headline by the Bloomberg Terminal. So we got a little bit of an update what price they're looking at. Now it's interesting that it said that the two companies discussed a price of $70 per share. So this is suggesting that both companies are very close on a $70 price range for the company, which was the really surprising part for me. Because if we go to Pinterest right now, I mean, before today, the stock was actually around about $55. So yeah, if it was to kind of get sold at $70, that is not much of a premium from where it actually closed previously or on the day before it actually came out. This is only a 30% premium on the share price. And if we look here on Pinterest, you'll see that there was an all-time high in February of 85, same again 85, and you can see here 79. So yeah, to be $70 isn't much on what Pinterest is trading right now. Now you might question and say that Pinterest is 251 price to earnings. You might say that it's coming off a good year. You might say that price to sales ratio, it's pretty much quite overvalued territory still. But realistically, the growth stocks don't normally go for a 30% premium. Normally they go for a lot more. So it's worth saying that the deal is still very 50-50 up in the air. But from my point of view as a shareholder in Pinterest, sure, I'll be happy if it gets bought out. I'm going to be, obviously I've already sold some shares of Pinterest, but I'd obviously make over 200% on it. I'm never going to be sad making 200% return on investment in 2 years. Don't get me wrong, it's absolutely fantastic. But I do look at this as Pinterest as $70 has been, for me personally, way too low. As me as a shareholder, I would not be happy with Pinterest actually selling to PayPal for $70. In my opinion, we've already had 52-week highs, touching nearly $90. And in my opinion, if I look at Pinterest in the next kind of 5-10 years, do I think Pinterest will be higher than $90? 100%. I think Pinterest is, sure, it's got very hard comparisons in the next kind of couple of quarters. And even though earnings are being fantastic, revenue are being fantastic, they're kind of getting pinned back because they're not growing users. Of course they're not. Everyone was at home on the phones only a year ago. Now no one's doing that, but still in this time they're still growing profit, they're still growing revenue, and eventually that user side of it will catch up and it will carry on making good revenue and it'll make a very good profit down the line. Now let's not forget, this is a very good alternative to a social media play of Facebook. We know that Facebook has a lot of issues. Them issues do not exist with Pinterest as well, which I think makes it a very unique position or a company compared to a Facebook. So with that all considered, looking at Pinterest, me as a shareholder, if Pinterest were actually to sell this in the $70 range, I would actually not be happy with this sale. Like I said, I wouldn't be really upset about it because I'm still going to make a 200% return. But for me, Pinterest, if they sell this company for $70, I would be a little bit frustrated. I would expect them to I would be more happy with them paying probably somewhere between maybe $90. At $90, I'd be a bit more happy with that. Obviously, that's a big, massive jump from what the current offer is. I mean, you're talking nearly an extra 30% there. So that is a massive difference there. Will it happen? Probably not. Especially when you look at this and it says that both companies are considering or discussed the price of $70. It seems like they are in that sort of range, that potentially PayPal have gone in 70 and Pinterest is at 80 and they're trying to find a middle ground. It does sound like both companies are kind of at a little bit of a standoff about what to exactly sell it at. it's not really like, it's not saying that PayPal have come in with an offer of $70, which is what I'm taking from it. So it seems like they are considering potentially that sort of range. And like I said, for me, $70 for me would personally be too low. At $80, I'd be a little bit more happy if they could get it up to $80. That's where I'd be a little bit more happy. But in my opinion, I still think a $90 is pretty much where I'd be happy to sell it. So yeah, I mean, overall, my thoughts are like, if Pinterest was to get sold, I would be a little bit annoyed because I do want to hold it in the portfolio for a long term, because I think it is a very good alternative social media play, and I do think it will do very well in the share price in the long term. But if it is going to be sold, it needs to be for the right valuation. Where is Pinterest going to get to a $90 in the next 12 months? Probably not. Would it get to $90 probably in the next 2 years? Yes. So it would have to be somewhere in that sort of range for me personally. So that's my thoughts as a Pinterest shareholder, where I would be happy with this to. Would I be happy for it to be sold? No. But if I make so much of a premium on it, I'll take it and I'll move on somewhere else. But it has to be the right price. And that's where, if it was to be sold, that's where I would be more happy. And that's me as a Pinterest shareholder. If I was a PayPal shareholder, it could be a good addition to the company. It is a bit of a big buyout. That's the thing. How they're going to fund it, we'll see. It's probably going to be in stock, I would guess. The thing I would say about PayPal is that if they do go acquire Pinterest, I would see probably more of a negative reaction to the share price. I would potentially see, it's been on a very good run recently. I wouldn't be surprised to see this actually go down and have a bit of a dip on this news, as the kind of like uncertainty of how they kind of add this into the company and how they work it. But PayPal are a company that always want to move forward, and if they can get it to work and link up that business with the advertising on Pinterest, then maybe it could be a good addition, because the Pinterest platform on its own is a very good platform. So it could work out for them in the long term, for sure. So I think there will be a little bit of nervous share price reaction on this for PayPal. But yeah, they would get a fantastic company. It'd be interesting to see how they kind of connect it though. It's a bit of a big risk when you're kind of committing to a 40 billion company. So yeah, I'm happy to kind of be more on the Pinterest end of this deal rather than the PayPal, for sure. If I was a PayPal shareholder, I would be a bit like, oh, it's a lot of money, and can they integrate it right? I would be a bit like that. But yeah, overall, that's kind of, I'm a bit more coming from the Pinterest shareholder from this point of view, because obviously that's the one I own. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it at the moment. We'll kind of keep an eye on it, see how it develops anyway. Let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you are a Pinterest shareholder, what kind of range you're looking at personally. Like I said, for me, at $70 it would be a little low. But yeah, crazy story. I never thought I'd kind of be talking about PayPal acquiring Pinterest anyway. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Tomorrow I'll put the video up that should have come today, unless something happens crazy with Tesla earnings, I guess. So yeah, hope it was useful. If it was, hit the like button, and I'll see you next video.